What's up, guys? How are you doing? I decided to make a mini Sakura guide. I think it's just going to be about everything you need to know to get started playing our girl, Sakura. So let's get into it. So let's scroll over to Sakura. Let's describe Sakura a little bit. Sakura's archetype, she's very fast. Good fireball, good anti-air, amazing standing light kick, stubby normals, but you can offset that with your walk speed. In my opinion, stand heavy kicks are best, but next to light kick's pretty damn godlike. It has good range, but I like to use heavy kick a lot. I've always used it in Street Fighter 4. It's just a really good. So basically, when you land the heavy kick and you get your crush counter, you want to confirm into V-skill. Confirm into your V-skill. Basically, if you don't know what confirming is, you see the crush counter and then you hold V-skill too. So if I just press V-skill, you're gonna see this little roll. But if I hold it, I get this follow-up. So that's a good button to start off with. But I think when you're playing Sakura in the beginning, you want to be very patient. So let me just describe the kind of movement you want to do in case you're just a baby. So let me teach you how to crawl. You want to walk and block. This is very good just in case your opponent's throwing a lot of fireballs. Hadouken, Hadouken, Hadouken. So say they're just doing that, being a little spamming ass. So say they're doing that, you want to just walk and block a bit. You can also neutral jump. This is a good way to deal with fireballs as well, because you see how, like, if they're just spamming fireball, they can't do it back to back. Walk and block. Boom. Maybe whiff punish. Crouch medium kick and a heavy DP is a good whiff punish on heavier buttons. But if they're throwing out quicker buttons, you want to be whiff punishing with stand light kick. Sakura is one of the few characters in the game that I think can actually whiff punish some mediums on reaction. It's crazy. Like, her light kick reminds me a lot of SF4. It's just so good. So say you read that, oh, he's going to walk forward and press crouch medium kick. That's a good time to walk away and hit stand light kick. Okay, he's going to read. He's going to come up. Boom. So that's a really good way to use your light kick. So walk up, crouch medium kick into Tatsu. They made Tatsu more plus on hit this season. So before it was only +1, which wasn't too good of a follow-up, but since it's +2, it's easier to walk up and throw people now. It's harder for them to interrupt you here. So walk up, crouch medium kick into Tatsu, pretty good. Even on block, also really good. When people block stuff, you're usually minus.
You don't say!
So say I do crouch medium kick, you can see on the upper left-hand side that I am -3. Usually that means that someone can do their own crouch medium kick, right? Say I do this, people will press. Hold on, give me a second. Bruh, the more that I wake up earlier and earlier, my alarms just aren't on point anymore. Let's not focus on that. We are normal human beings that wake up at normal hours now, guys. So yeah, when people block stuff, it's usually minus off your medium. So -3, they can usually press a button. Let me show you. Let me show you why. Crouch medium kick and the Tatsu is good. So you can do that now. Before, Sakura could only do like this. She didn't really get a follow-up because they let you combo into this now off of your jabs. It's a really good frame trap. Also, she can combo into stand light punch now, which is really good, because before, sometimes off this Tatsu, you couldn't really reach crouch jab sometimes. But damn, that Tatsu is so consistent now. I love it. But I think what you want to be doing here is do the stand light punch now. If you're trying to get that EX Tatsu, this is good because stand light punch has a good amount of range, a lot better than stand light punch or than crouch light punch. I trust this a lot more than my crouch light punch, because that is a really good way to use your neutral game, stand light kick, crouch medium kick, heavy kick, and all of that. Fireball is also good. It's not the best fireball, but this is like one of the best fireballs Sakura has ever had in any Street Fighter game. She's like an actual Shoto player now, so fireball is really good. You can use fireball to get people to jump, but when you're first starting out, people like to jump a lot. So you don't really need to bait people into jumping when you're just starting out. People will just jump at you. We need to teach you her anti-airs. The tried and true anti-air is crouch fierce.
You shall not pass!
So you can get a pretty good follow-up if you anti-air them pretty close. But if you're a bit further away, it's going to be harder to do that walk-up throw. But if you anti-air them really close to the crouch fierce, you can get that walk-up throw. This is a good follow-up. Boop, boop. Why is that not comboing? I swear to God, it combos. Just keep in mind of the range of where you're doing crouch fierce, because as you can see, if I do it further, if I do it further, I can't get my walk-up throw. It's a little dangerous. At a further range, I think it's best to just do crouch medium kick and a fireball. And you're at that closer range that we talked about, where crouch medium kick and a fireball should always combo. into EX. Heavy DP is a good follow-up. If you're using V skill 2, you can do a follow-up like that. You can activate like this. Wait, no. Do this. Activate. Boop, boop. You saw how when we got the stand heavy kick crush counter on the ground, we can get the follow-up like this. Oh, he's blocking, sorry. We can get the follow-up like this. You get the big corner carry. But when you land V skill off of a fireball, they're considered to be in an air state, so you won't get that medium DP. So light DP is pretty good there. If you want to stay close to your opponent, which I highly recommend, just do this, dash dash. Good follow-up, good corner carry too, and good damage. Overall, it's more damage than this. Only go for this if this is gonna kill. You see how this is 232, but if I do this, that's 182 plus 130. That's a lot more damage. A lot more. And they're in the corner. It's a lot better for you. Let's talk about her V skill and V trigger uses. So I've talked a bit about V skill 2. I like V trigger 1, V skill 2. So if you don't know what V trigger 1 is, V trigger 1 is her fireball, her really buffed up fireball. I like this a lot to close up ground. Someone mentioned in my chat the other day that they have a hard time using it to close ground, and that's because you're only +8 even at a pretty far range. So if you want to follow up, you usually just have to do like crouch medium kick in a fireball. You can also do crouch medium kick in a light Tatsu. That's also good too. But if you really want to close ground with this is a bit risky, but you can do a full charge of your fireball. This is so plus, it's actually crazy. Guile has something similar to this, but I think with Sakura it's even better because this has 3 hits, dude. And I'm not using any EX bar. It's just a really good fireball. I'm so plus that I can't even get my walk-up throw. It's kind of crazy. And because it travels slower, as you can see, regular V-Trigger 1 fireball goes really fast, but this one goes really slow. So it allows you to close up ground a lot quicker. Bro, I'm so plus. I'm not used to doing this. It's so plus. This is really good though. Really good. Also, if your opponent is like, you know, if they're catching on to that, you like to charge fireball. This is a little trick I like to do every now and then. It is a bit risky. I wouldn't recommend it too much. You can charge the up one. The up one's a little harder to see. That doesn't combo. That'd be godlike if it did. Oh wow, I side switched. That's crazy. Yeah, there's a lot of potential to Sakura, as you can see. Like there's things I don't even know about that I still need to figure out. You can do some crazy combos. Just trust me. But yeah, let's talk about this a little more. V-Trigger 1, let's talk about the utility of it. So it's good as a fireball, really good. It's really good in pressure too. So like say someone's blocking, you can kind of do this sequence to mess with them a little bit. This is +1 at the closer range, but it's +2 off crouch medium kick. So basically, the more distance you have, the more plus it gets. But don't focus on that right now. Let's talk a little bit about why you want to use V-Skill 2 with V-Trigger 1. You want to use V-Skill 2, we kind of showed you earlier, but basically, it's the only one that really follows up really well off of landing a hit with V-Trigger 1. But if I use V-Skill 1 with this, and I do this, there's no real follow-up. I can do stuff like this and create some mix-ups, sure, but it's not very cohesive. I don't think it meshes very well here. You can do stuff like that, but you know, I generally prefer the overall utility of V-Trigger 1 and V-Skill 2. So keep that in mind. You can get a lot of damage as well in the corner. This is pretty good. One thing to mention right here is that when you do this, if you do it a little too late, I'm trying to show you. There's like this weird property where like if you do it a little too late, it's gonna drop. And like it looks like there's a lot of time here, but there's actually not. So really if you want to do EXDP to get that really big corner carry, make sure you're doing the DP really early. Otherwise, you're gonna have some hard times. So I like this to push them to the corner. This is very good. And then when they're cornered, you can also save your meter and just do stuff like this. But yeah, generally, this is why I really like using V-Trigger 1 and V-Skill 2. Now, V-Skill 1 and V-Trigger 2. So if you don't know about V-Trigger 2, this is a Tatsu, right? It's a Tatsu, but it is -10 on block. So be very careful about doing this move on block. In general, I feel like V-Trigger 2 is a bit inconsistent. There's something about it that's so bad. But it's very good on opponents that are standing. So like say like Cammy or Seth, they like to do dive kicks a lot. But if you make them whiff their dive kick, you can punish it pretty easily with stand line kick. Stand line kick, Tatsu, V trigger 2 Tatsu, V skill 1, dive kick into V trigger 2 DP. V trigger 2 is mostly used not as a pressure tool like V trigger 1. It's mostly used as a whiff punishing tool. And the tool mostly against dive kick characters. I think that's where it's really good. Or maybe like you feel like the opponent pressures you too much and you just want to just DP them. Sakura in V trigger 2, one of the best things about the V trigger 2 is that besides the Tatsu, you have a DP that's fully invincible. So in this game, DPs, you can't really wake up with DPs. No one has invincibility on their normal DP in this game. So your only invincible DPs in this game with Sakura are EX DP and V trigger 2 DP. You don't get a very good follow-up off V trigger 2 DP. They're really far, and you're not very plus. So make sure that if you're doing a DP, you're just trying to get them off you. You're not trying to like overextend with like some crazy follow-up. Maybe you can do walk up, crouch, medium kick, and a fireball, something like that. Let's talk about our V skill 1 a little bit. V skill 1 is a really ghetto demon flip. I think that's a good way to describe it. Ghetto demon flip. But you can create some like little situations with that. You can like charge fireball. You can make like a little mix up right here with that. You can also air throw. Like if they're respecting, you know, if they're respecting the fireball, you can just do something like this. Boom. Spacing dependent, as you can see, because the first time I did it too far, wasn't working. But also it's just showing why it's not very good. I would say Akuma's demon flip is better because it's a little floatier, but it's faster. So it just works better, guys. So as we saw with Sakura's V skill 1 just now, she has what's called a Toshi, which is her overhead move, basically. So you have to block this standing. If Ryu's not blocking standing, he's gonna get hit like this. And if I try and air throw, this only hits a standing opponent. So you can kind of get a mix up like that because, oh, if they're scared of the overhead and they're not reacting with like a uppercut, like an anti-air or something, then you can get away with this. If they're scared of the overhead, you can air throw, but you can see that it whiffs if they're crouching. So I like doing this one thing with Sakura, but it's really hard. It'll give you something to aspire to, I guess. You can hit confirm your crouch medium kick in a heavy DP. I think this is really strong. I see some really good Sakuras like Nalman do that. I see my button. I tried to do it. There, okay. It's pretty hard though. I'm not gonna lie to you. One thing that I like doing to hit confirm a little easier is look at the stun bar. Stun bar is important, but I think it's important if you're trying to hit confirm off the stun bar. You want to mix up looking at the ground. You want to practice looking at the ground, and then when you're close to your crouch medium kick range, you can look at the stun bar. But it's important to pay attention to like the ebb and flow of the neutral. So like if you're just walking up, you're like near your crouch medium kick range and you do this a lot, you're probably gonna get beat out quite a bit like that, and you might get crushed. Kind of that's all bad, right? So like say your opponent's very active, that's a good time to like walk back, try and whiff punish like this. Yeah, so maybe you just want to whiff punish like that, stand line kick. Don't get too close, give them some room to whiff punish. Whiff punishing in this game freaking awkward, I'm not gonna lie to you. A lot of people like to in this game just read movement and buffer, because like not a lot of moves, like you see Ryu's sweep, like it feels like it should have more of a extended hurt box, right? But the hurt box actually goes in really quickly, so you can use that to your advantage in neutral too. Like heavy kick comes in pretty fast. If they're not really looking for it, you can kind of throw it out and you're pretty safe. I would just block if you whiff, you know, but I encourage you to space your heavy kicks and buttons so they don't miss. But just know that like in this game compared to like older games, there's less of a hurt box on extended hurt. What they call it is extended hurt box on your moves, basically. So like when you press a move, there's an extra little box outside of your move. So like right here, just imagine like there's a little extra window where they can press a button. But in SF4, for instance, where I first came up, was that there's a much bigger box on that move. So like they in SF4 they really encourage you not to whiff, because those kind of buttons had a bigger hurt box for your opponent to whiff punish. But in this game you can see that like when even just Ryu's whiffing his sweep, I'm having a hard time whiff punishing. But like just keep in mind, this is something you can do to to mix up trying to hit confirm. Try and whiff punish. Sakura actually has about the easiest time, I think, of any character whiff punishing with that light kick. So if you practice your ranges, you can get used to it. Make sure you're not too far. You see, if I'm too far, you know, I'm gonna miss. So really, you have to have a read on your opponent's spacing, how far they like to walk forward at different times, and you have to have a read on. You have to understand hurt box. You have to understand that like the hurt box of where this move is, whiffs right here, and then I should stand just outside that range and whiff punish. I hope you enjoyed the Sakura guide. You are now on your way to becoming a full-fledged Sakura player, dashing, prancing, flailing around, destroying everybody. I hope you enjoy it. Hope you learned a bit. If you did, like, comment, let me know what kind of video you want to see next. Thanks, guys. Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please hit like, subscribe, and punch that notification bell to see when my next video goes live. See you next time.